Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Cassie Susi, and I am the Program Coordinator for Oregon's Drug Price Transparency Program at the Department of Consumer and Business Services. Today's webinar will provide you an overview of the program and the reporting requirements for manufacturer reporting as outlined in state law and in our administrative rule. The webinar will be transcribed and slides will be posted to the website following the conclusion of this presentation. If you have any questions about the webinar or the program, these can be sent to program staff following the presentation, and we'll have our contact information up on the final slide as well. So for today's agenda, the roadmap for our presentation includes an overview of Oregon's prescription drug price program, outlining the new drug reporting requirements, outlining the annual price increase reporting requirements, discussing information claimed to be trade secret and the process for reviewing this information, report timelines for additional information requests and public disclosure, and an overview of assessments and civil penalties related to the program. So to give you an overview of the Prescription Drug Transparency Act, it was enacted in the 2018 legislative session, which established Oregon's Drug Price Transparency Program. There are three main program areas involving increasing transparency on prescription drug costs and prices from pharmaceutical manufacturers, collecting prescription drug information from health insurance companies, and providing consumers a way to report personal prescription drug price increases. So this new law specifically requires pharmaceutical manufacturers to report specific information on prescription drug prices to the department and to pay an assessment as well. So to overview the manufacturer reporting, there are two reports required by law from manufacturers, and these are new prescription drugs costing more than $670 a month or for a course of treatment. This reporting began on March 15th of this year. And the second report is annual price increase reports on drugs priced more than $100 a month with a 10% net yearly price increase. These reports are due July 1st of this year, and then will be due March 15th for the second year. So there are three criteria that define a reporting manufacturer. And these criteria are that the entity be required to be registered with the Oregon Board of Pharmacy as a drug manufacturer. The entity engages in the manufacture of prescription drugs as defined in law, and the entity sets or changes the wholesale acquisition cost of the drug it manufactures. All entities that fall within the definition of a reporting manufacturer and are filing reports in 2019 were required to have an account created by March 15th, 2019. In subsequent years, reporting manufacturers without an online account and are required to file a report must create an account no later than February 15th of that same year. Reporting manufacturers include entities that identify as virtual manufacturers or contract out the act of manufacturing to another entity, so long as those three criteria are still met. Additionally, any subsidiaries of a parent company falling within the definition of a reporting manufacturer, so meeting those three criteria, are required to create their own separate account with the department. One account is created for the specific prescription drug manufacturer entity for the purposes of reporting and billing for the program. This account will provide the primary user of that account and any additional users added to the company account access to IREG, which is the reporting system used to file drug reports. Currently, new drug reports are being accepted through the IREG system. Beginning March 15th of this year, prescription drug manufacturers were required to report within 30 days of a new prescription drug coming to market for sale in the US at a WAC exceeding $670 for either a 30-day supply or for the course of treatment of lasting less than 1 month. A new drug is defined as a prescription drug that has received initial approval under an original new drug application, under an abbreviated new drug application, or under a biologics license application. In cases where multiple drugs are included on an application, each product will be considered a new drug. Additionally, the new drug definition also includes any new drugs approved through the supplemental applications that fall within the reporting requirements of this program. And as I sort of mentioned before, all of these reports will be submitted on the department's website known as IREG. So using the account you created, users may go onto IREG and begin a new drug report by clicking on the drug prices in the new drugs tabs. The system requires the NDC, trade name, and chemical name to be entered to create the filing. Once these have been entered, the user will be directed to a new screen, which will allow them to fill out all the data elements for the new drug report. This is a very similar process for the annual drug reporting as well. So all data elements have specific data fields within IREG for the manufacturer to provide their information. The next few slides will outline the data elements as specified in Oregon law and statute for new drug reports. So the first is the full trade name of the drug, which refers to the exclusive name of the drug product owned by the company under trademark law. If the trade name is the same as the chemical name, in the case of generics, please submit the chemical name in this field. The second is the full chemical name or biologic name, and this refers to the non-proprietary name of the drug product, which is usually the active ingredients of the product. The third is the 11-digit NDC for the drug product. And manufacturers are required to file reports for any NDCs meeting the reporting threshold, and they will be reported in that 11-digit configuration to the program. The next data element is price and dosage of the drug that the manufacturer used to determine that it exceeded the threshold. So price refers to the wholesale acquisition cost for the reporting year, calculated to determine the price exceeded the reporting threshold of $670. And dosage refers to the total amount of the drug that would be prescribed in a single prescription to a patient taking the drug as recommended. If there is more than one such recommended dosage, the largest recommended total dosage will be considered for the purposes of determining the course of treatment. Additionally, you can rely on dosage as approved on the FDA label as well. The next data element is the marketing description. So Oregon law requires a description of the marketing used in the introduction of a new drug. An Oregon administrative rule further specifies that this description is to include spending on direct-to-consumer marketing, such as paid advertising, as well as spending to promote the drug to physicians, if applicable. And examples of this can be direct-to-consumer media advertisements on platforms such as television, radio, social media, mobile applications, or other mediums, direct-to-consumer promotional incentives, such as free trial offers, coupons, or other utilization incentives, if they are different from a patient assistance program. Spending on a promotion of a drug to physicians or other healthcare professionals can include things such as professional detailing, free drug samples, sponsorships for continuing education, gifts, seminars, or other promotional activities that fit within those criteria of direct-to-consumer marketing or promotion of the drug to physicians. The next data element is methodology and narrative description explaining the establishment of the WAC price. So Oregon law requires manufacturers to report the methodology used to establish the price of a new drug. And Oregon administrative rules further specify this includes a narrative description and explanation of all major financial and non-financial factors that influence the decision to set the price of the drug at the level it was first set by the reporting manufacturer following FDA approval. For example, reporting information can include things such as the description and explanation of any cost-based pricing, quality-adjusted pricing, value-based pricing, or other models used to establish the price, or a description of any fixed costs, variable costs, quality measures, or utilization estimates that would be relevant to the pricing methodology. Continuing on with data elements required for new drug reports, manufacturers are required to report on an indication of and any supporting documentation for an FDA breakthrough designation or priority review given to the drug. And this refers to the expedited reviews given to drugs intended to treat serious conditions that the FDA deems should be fast-tracked for approval. The next data element is the date and price of acquisition of a new drug paid by the manufacturer if the drug was not developed by the manufacturer. And please note that this does not need to be reported if it is not applicable to your new drug report. Additionally, manufacturers are required to report on the estimate average number of patients who will be prescribed the new prescription drug. We've also included some space to provide some context to this number, and it's a description of any epidemiologic studies or analyses on incidence and prevalence of the condition or conditions that the drug targets, and any other relevant information that would be helpful for us to understand how that estimate was created. And the last data element for new drug reporting is research and development costs that were paid using public funds. And public funds means any funds granted, loaned, or otherwise provided by a national, local, state, or foreign government entity. This would require the manufacturer to report on all sources of public funds for the public entities named, used in the basic or applied research for the drug, preclinical trials, or clinical trials. And the reporting application on IREG allows you to break that out by those different levels. So these are all the data elements required for the new drug report submitted to Oregon's Drug Price Transparency Program. So this next slide displays the IREG system and the data required to be reported. Fields allowing narrative data will allow a large amount of text within the box. There's no need to worry that you will run out of room, but if you do, you can always upload a supporting document. Next to certain data elements, there is a trade secret checkbox, which you can see towards the right hand of the screen. And users may click this if they'd like to claim that information as trade secret. I'll discuss more about this in detail later in the presentation, but that's how it looks on the IREG system. This next slide shows you the rest of the filing screen for new drug reporting and the data elements required to be reported on. The IREG system provides you an opportunity to upload any supporting documents to a new drug report, and this is where you can provide the department with any additional information that may be useful for the department to conduct our analysis on the information or provide further context to any of the reported information in the filing. Once the report is complete, you will click the Continue to Certification button to move forward in the process of submitting the report. And if the report is not complete, you may save your progress and come back to complete the filing. I will note that once you certify and submit your filing, you can no longer make any changes. If there are changes that need to be made, you will need to contact program staff, and we'll be happy to talk with you about those potential changes. So moving on to annual price increase reporting. These reports are required for prescription drugs with a WAC of $100 or more, and there was a net yearly increase of 10% or more in the drug. So there are those two criteria to trigger an annual price increase reporting. The deadline to report this information for the first year is July 1st, 2019, so in about a month. And every other year following this first year, the deadline to report will be March 15th. Reporting for annual price increases will also be through the IREG system, and annual price increase reports should be submitted for each NDC which meets the reporting threshold. Currently, the annual price increase reporting is not up on IREG, but should be up by tomorrow. So you'll be able to access that and begin your filings. So similar to the new drug reports, annual price increase reports require the full trade name, the chemical name, 11-digit NDC, and the price and dosage of the drug product that were used to determine that the threshold was met. Following these data points, the filing requires manufacturers to submit the following information on the reported drug. So that is the WAC of the drug at the beginning of the calendar year preceding the report. And the beginning of the calendar year refers to January 1st. The next is the WAC of the drug at the end of the calendar year preceding the report. And the end of the calendar year refers to December 31st. The highest and lowest WAC of the drug at any point during the calendar year preceding the report. So for the purposes of this upcoming report, you will be reporting for the 2018 year. So when I say preceding calendar year, I'm referring to 2018. The next data element is the net increase percentage in the price of the drug over the course of the previous year. And Oregon Administrative Rule has defined net yearly increase as meaning an increase in the WAC of the drug over the course of the calendar year, calculated by dividing the average WAC by the average WAC over the course of the previous calendar year. So this will be calculated using the average WAC of 2018 divided by the average WAC of 2017 for the purposes of this year's reporting. Moving along with the other data elements, the next one is the length of time the drug has been on the market, which is the amount of time from the date of market entry that the drug has been available to purchase. The next is the factors that contributed to the price increase, and this will include a narrative description of these factors and an explanation of any major financial and non-financial factors that contributed to the reasonings why the price of this drug was increased. The next data element is the name of any generic or biosimilar version of the prescription drug available on the market, and this means listing out the known manufacturer and drug names for any generic or biosimilar version of the prescription drug if you are reporting for a brand name, and if you're reporting for generic, any other generic or biosimilar drugs that are known to you, the manufacturer. The next data element is the direct costs incurred by the manufacturer. And there's a couple of subpoints for this direct costs, and that is to manufacture the prescription drug, to market the prescription drug, which includes any direct-to-consumer marketing and any paid promotions to physicians, the direct costs to distribute the prescription drug, and the direct costs for ongoing safety and effectiveness research associated with the prescription drugs. And direct costs may include any fixed or variable costs associated with the categories specified above. And this is just a numeric reporting on the IREG system. Again, research and development costs are required to be reported for annual price increase. This is A similar data element to the new drug reporting, so specifying all sources of public funds provided by national, state, local, or foreign government entities used in the basic or applied research for the drug, preclinical trials, or clinical trials. The next data element is total sales revenue for the prescription drug during the previous calendar year, and the total gross sales revenue associated with the drug, and this is consistent with how revenue is defined by GAAP, the general accounting principles. The next data element is profit attributable to the prescription drug during the previous calendar year, and this is also consistent with the GAAP definitions. Finally, the introductory price of the prescription drug when it was approved for marketing in the U.S. By the U.S. FDA, and so that's just reporting what the starting WAC of the drug was before it came to market. Other data elements that are required are the net yearly increase in the WAC of the drug by calendar year for the previous 5 calendar years. So the net yearly increase, again, it means the is calculated by dividing the average WAC by the average WAC over the course of the previous calendar year. And the previous calendar years are following the reporting year of 2018. So this would be for 2013 through 2017 for the purposes of this year's report. If the drug was not on the market in any of the previous 5 years, you would report for either the first 2 years or the 3 years, depending on where that lands. The next data element is the 10 highest prices paid for the prescription drug during the previous calendar year in any country other than the United States. And for reporting other country prices, the price should be the WAC equivalent in that country. So if that's the X manufacturer price, the X factory price, the X wholesale price, I know every country has a different pricing mechanism, so it will require the WAC equivalent in that country, or the closest thing to WAC. The price of other countries should be reported as an average of that price over the course of that reporting year. So for this year, it will be 2018. And you will be reporting the 10 highest prices will be reported at different countries for each level. So you wouldn't report the 10 highest prices in one country if that's where all the highest prices were. It will be the average for separate countries for the purposes of our reporting. Additionally, there will be space for any other information that you, the manufacturer, deem relevant to the price increase, and any documentation necessary to support that information, the information reported. And that's just to help the department with our own analyses and understanding of the information, and that can be uploaded as a supporting document. An additional data element required for the annual price increase reports are reports on patient assistance programs. So if a reporting manufacturer offers one or more patient assistance programs for the drug to consumers in Oregon to reduce consumer out-of-pocket costs, the report must include at least the following information for each patient assistance program relevant to the drug that is subject of the report. The first is the number of consumers residing in Oregon who participated in the patient assistance program over the previous calendar year. The second is the total dollar value of the coupons, discounts, copayment assistance, or other reduction in costs provided to consumers in this state who participated in the program over the course of the previous calendar year. The third is for each drug, the number of refills that qualify for the program if applicable. Fourth, if the program expires after a specific period of time, the period of time that the program is available to each consumer, and finally, the eligibility criteria of the program and how eligibility is verified for accuracy. There is one type of patient assistance program that is exempt from being reported on, and this is further clarified in Oregon Administrative Rule. And this is a bona fide independent charity patient assistance program that's operating in full compliance with the guidance provided in the Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Inspector General's Supplemental Special Advisory Bulletin on Independent Charity Patient Assistance Programs. So if your company provides funding to that specific type of patient assistance program, we will not be requiring reporting for that one individually. And if there are other types of independent patient assistance programs that don't fit that exempted definition, the department does expect that reporting manufacturers will make a good faith effort to secure this information on these patient assistance programs for the reported drugs. So on to the process for information claimed to be trade secret. Prescription drug manufacturers may request specific information provided to the department to be conditionally exempt from disclosure under Oregon Statute 192.345 as a trade secret. And this is done by clicking the trade secret box next to an informational element within IREG. Each line and informational element must be clearly indicated by the manufacturer when uploading documents and claiming that information as trade secret. So the criteria for each data element and claiming it to be trade secret, you will be prompted to provide a succinct written explanation of why this information is exempt from disclosure and must demonstrate all of the following. So 1, the information is not patented. 2, the information is known only to certain individuals within the manufacturer's organization and is used in a business the organization conducts. 3, the information has actual or potential commercial value. 4, the information gives the manufacturer an opportunity to obtain a business advantage over competitors who do not know or use it. And 5, the public interest does not require disclosure of this information. So if a manufacturer asserts that disclosure of any information provided in a report is affirmatively prohibited by state or federal law, the manufacturer must clearly indicate the relevant information and explain the basis of the assertion, including any citations of the applicable state and federal laws. And the burden of proof to establish information as conditionally exempt from disclosure as a trade secret is on the manufacturer submitting the filing. The department will review the manufacturer's explanations for each data element that is claimed as trade secret and will make a determination on a case-by-case basis. So, as I said, to claim information as a trade secret, you will click the trade secret box next to an informational element within IREG. This will then prompt the application to provide you a space to provide your trade secret explanation. And as I stated previous, each line and informational element must be clearly indicated for us to understand what specifically is being claimed as trade secret. So the department will review the manufacturer's explanations and determine any exemptions from disclosure on a case-by-case basis. The process that this will happen is that if the department determines that any information claimed to be trade secret by a reporting manufacturer must be disclosed, we will notify the manufacturer and provide a written explanation of the department's determination. Within 15 days of receiving this notification, a manufacturer may submit a letter to the director to appeal the department's determination and request reconsideration. And the letter must explain the grounds for the request, and this will be submitted through means that we'll discuss when we get into this process, if we engage in this process. Next, so the director or the director's designee at the department will review the appeal to the determination and issue an appeal determination within 15 days or within a time frame necessary to obtain legal review of receiving the appeal letter from the manufacturer. And if the director's determination would result in the disclosure of information claimed to be trade secret, the department will notify the manufacturer of the director's decision at least 21 days in advance of disclosing the information. So there'll be a time frame before it is disclosed publicly for you all to know. If the department does exempt information from disclosure provided by a manufacturer, we will be posting an explanation of the basis for exempting that information and a very general description of the nature of that information, and that will be posted publicly. Additionally, any person can petition the Attorney General in Oregon as provided in Oregon Revised Statutes 192.411 to review a decision made by the department to exempt information from disclosure. And an explanation of this right to petition for the Attorney General review will be included in the department's explanation. So for reporting timelines, that concludes kind of an overview of the process of which the department will be taking for information claimed to be trade secret. There are additional timelines for reports, and this includes additional information requests. So within 60 days of receiving a report, the department may submit a written request for supporting documentation or additional information to the manufacturer. Requested information shall be limited to information necessary to clarify or substantiate the previously reported material or help the department with analysis of the factors affecting drug prices for our public hearing and report to the legislature. If there is a request for additional information, manufacturers will receive an alert that there's been a correspondence posted to their account on the IREG system. So that is where we would provide that ask for additional information. So within 60 calendar days of receiving a request for information, a manufacturer must provide a full and complete written response to the department's request. And if this includes information claimed to be a trade secret, it must be clearly identified and also have that explanation that I described previous included as well. If there's any requested information that is unavailable to a manufacturer, this just must be specified and clarified within that written explanation. Within 15 calendar days of receiving a request for information, a manufacturer may request up to an additional 30 days to prepare and submit a response to this additional information request. So if you receive a request for additional information from the department, you do have that 60-day time frame unless you submit a request within that 15 days. And that request must explain the grounds for the request and the need for any additional information or any additional time. The department will respond in writing, specifying and explaining the decision to grant the request for additional time, to deny the request, or grant an amount of time that's less than requested but still additional time on that 60-day timeline. So this next slide displays a table which describes our public disclosure timelines as specified in rule. As I stated before, that information claimed to be trade secret will not be disclosed until there's a final determination. So this is just information that has not been marked as trade secret. So once a drug report has been received, the department will post the name of the manufacturer and the prescription drug that is the subject of the filing to the program website as soon as practicable. Additionally, prescription drug reports will be posted to the department's website no later than 90 days after the department has received the filing. And as I stated before, this will be the information that is not claimed to be trade secret. Any additional information requested will be posted no later than 60 days after receiving the response, and all other correspondence or records between the department and the manufacturer will be posted as soon as practicable. So like I've stated a couple of times, information claimed to be trade secret in a report filing, an additional information response, or in a correspondence will not be posted until a final determination has been made by the department or the director. And any information claimed to be trade secret determined by the department to be exempt from disclosure will not be posted to the website. Instead, it will be that general explanation of why this information is exempt from disclosure and a general description of what that information is about. So moving on from kind of the reporting timelines and into the assessments associated with the program, there are two primary assessments for the drug price transparency program. The first is an annual assessment that is paid by all drug manufacturers that fall within that reporting manufacturer definition. And the second is a reporting assessment, which is paid by the manufacturers who file reports during that reporting year. So all prescription drug manufacturers will be billed for the annual assessment and for the reporting assessment as applicable on October 1st each year through the IREG system. Revenue collected from these assessments will solely be used for the expenses incurred by the department for administration of this program. So no other purposes, just for this program. Any late assessments will incur an interest rate of 9% per annum if paid later than 30 days after the date of the assessment from the department. So to go into some specific detail about the assessments, the annual assessment is for, like I said, prescription drug manufacturers who meet the requirements of a reporting manufacturer, and they will be required to pay an annual assessment of $400. So this is a flat $400 fee that everyone will be assessed. The second assessment is for reports, and the reporting manufacturers that file reports are required to pay this additional reporting assessment for each report filed. The amount of the report assessment will vary depending on the number of reports the department receives each year. And this assessment will be calculated by dividing the amount of revenue needed to cover the program's expenses by the total number of filings and subtracting the amount of the revenue collected through the annual assessment. And there's a figure on our program website in the manufacturer user guide if you are a more visual person of seeing how this is calculated. So the program also has civil penalties associated with violations of state law and administrative rule, and manufacturers may receive a civil penalty based on the type of violation. So outlined in the table, as you can see, are the types of violations and the associated civil penalties that may be imposed against manufacturer that is in violation of these civil penalties. They're structured in a way so they're tiered by both a first-time violation and any subsequent violations, and they're also tiered in a sense by the type of violation. So the lowest violation is a missing, inaccurate, or incomplete data. The next is untimely responses for additional information. And the third category is failure to submit a required report. As you can see, the numeric civil penalties are displayed in the table. Any other violations include a breach of good faith expectations, intent to obstruct the implementation of the program, or other violations injurious to the public. So if those occur, then the maximum civil penalty that may be imposed is a $10,000 per day of each violation. And this is just a catch-all civil penalty that was included in both statute and administrative rule. I will like to say that the department does want to work with you all, the manufacturers, to maintain compliance. So if there are any issues or questions, please contact us, and we can help work through those issues, questions, or any points of clarification on the law and the administrative rules for the reports, so you maintain compliance. And with that, displayed on the screen, if you want more information on our drug price transparency program, you can visit our website, dfr.oregon.gov/drug-transparency. There's a section specifically for manufacturers, and it is meant for this audience. We will be updating our manufacturer user guide to include both the annual price increase reporting information that we covered in this webinar, and also we'll have an IREG walkthrough, which will help anyone who's new to the system understand the different parts of the system. If you have any questions, you can email us at rx.prices@oregon.gov, or you can call 503-947-7200. Additionally, my individual contact information is displayed on the screen, so feel free to email or call me with any questions or issues that you run into, and we can work with them together to provide you clarity or more information as we go through this process. So I'd like to thank you for spending the last 45 minutes with me to hear more about Oregon's prescription drug price program and the reporting requirements. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and contact myself or the general program contact information, and we'll have someone from our team be in contact with you to provide further information. With that, we'll conclude, and I hope that you all have a great afternoon. Thank you.